Hola, buenos días. Today we're going to have a really quick lesson about saber y conocer. This is la primera lección de gramática de capítulo 6. So our first grammar lesson of chapter 6 is going to be on conocer y saber, and that's what we're going to be discussing today. As you can see, saber y conocer both mean to know, but they're talking about knowing in different ways. For example, saber we use when you're referring to knowing a fact or knowing how to do something. So think of that as something that's very concrete, like specific knowledge that you have. I think of it as related to the word sabiduría, like knowledge, because it's knowledge of facts, of specific information, and of how to do something. So, por ejemplo, I might say, yo sé que la capital de Estados Unidos es Washington, D.C. Right? It's a fact I know. Yo sé que 2 más 2 son 4. It's a fact I know. If I'm telling how to do something, for example, yo sé hablar español. Yo sé jugar voleibol. So these are examples of knowing how to do something. Conocer, on the other hand, is utilized when we are referring to knowing a person or just simply being familiar with something. So if you think of it in terms as to be familiar with something, it'll help you kind of remember that you utilize that with a person. You can know a person's name, and that would be saber. Yo sé que tu nombre es María. I know the name. Yo sé que su nombre es Marco. I know that his name is Marco. This is knowledge that I know. But when I say that I know a person, like I've met them or I'm acquainted with them, then I use conocer. Por ejemplo, yo conozco a la profesora de inglés. I know that person. Or I might say that I'm familiar with an area. Yo conozco Costa Rica muy bien. Because I'm familiar with a particular place. I have a knowledge of it. I'm not saying that I know a specific fact, but just that I have a familiarity with the area. So, for example, I know how to get around the area well. So you might say, yo conozco Pensacola muy bien. Like I know the area of Pensacola very well. So those are the two reasons that you would, the two different examples of how you would use each of those verbs to say to know. And the other thing to note is the conjugation. They're just like regular verbs, regular ER verbs, with the exception of la forma de yo. En la forma de yo son irregulares. So you can say yo sé instead of what you would automatically assume yo sabo. See? You would say yo sé. And then for conocer, if we were just to drop the ER and add the O, like we've learned, it would be conozco, which doesn't sound right. So conozco. In order to preserve that sound, we have to use the ZCO, conozco. So there is a spelling change in conocer, and we have an irregular form in saber. All right. So again, these are just some examples. No sé tu número de teléfono. It's information. I don't know your telephone number. Okay, that's information. Mi hermana sabe hablar francés. My sister knows how to speak French. So now, again, we're saying that someone knows how to do something. Conocer, being familiar. ¿Conoces la ciudad de Nueva York? I'm asking you, are you familiar with New York City? Like, do you know your way around? Do you know it well? No conozco a tu amigo Esteban. No, I don't know your friend Esteban. So here I'm saying I don't know this person. I'm not familiar with this person. Notice here the use of la a personal, okay? You use the personal a when you're saying that you're knowing a person. In this case, what is being known, that's what we refer to as the direct object. So en esa frase or esa pregunta, el objeto directo es la ciudad. I'm asking you, do you know the city, la ciudad? And that's the direct object. So we don't, here we have tu amigo Esteban. Tu amigo, that is your direct object. Conozco a tu amigo Esteban. Who's being known? Esteban, your friend. When it is a person, we use this preposition a. So it's just called la a personal, the personal a. And we'll only use that before referring to a person as the direct object. So when we're knowing a person, we have to say a. Yo conozco a La directora, that's a person, versus yo conozco la universidad. I know my way around. I'm familiar with the university. All right. So this is just an example of, again, using la a personal. ¿Conoces la Habana? Do you know Havana? Are you familiar with that? Versus ¿conoces a Celia Cruz? Do you know Celia Cruz? Are you familiar with her? Have you met her? Okay. Práctica. What you can do here is just take a moment, pause the video, answer the questions, and then, or fill in the blank with the correct form of either saber or conocer, and then check your answers on the next slide. So hit pause. Okay, so here are your responses. Yo sé esquiar. Noten aquí. Yo sé esquiar. I know how to ski. It's an activity, something that I know how to do. María sabe mucho de la historia de España. María, she knows a lot about Spanish history. She knows a lot of things, a lot of facts, so she has that knowledge. Nosotros sabemos la capital de nuestro país. We know the capital of our country. It's a piece of information, facts that we know, right? Es información. Mis amigos saben jugar voleibol. Mis amigos saben jugar voleibol. So es una acción, una actividad. It's something that they know how to do. They know how to do something. Cómo hacer algo. En los otros ejemplos, Teresa conoce a mi hija. Teresa conoce a mi hija. Teresa knows my daughter, so she's familiar with her. She knows a person, and then of course we have that a personal, a mi hija. Los estudiantes conocen bien la ciudad de Pensacola. In this example, we're saying that they're familiar with the city of Pensacola. They're acquainted with it. They know a place. They know a location well. They know their way around. Versus they know a fact about it. So over here we say we know the capital of our country, meaning I know what the name of it is. Sabemos la capital de nuestro país. I can tell you que la capital es Washington, D.C. Versus conocemos la capital. Conocemos bien la capital would mean we know our way around. Like we are familiar with the city. We have a familiarity with that place. Different intent there. Iván y yo conocemos a ella. Es una persona. So we know a person. Conocemos a ella. Ella being her. And ¿tú conoces al profesor de física? I'm asking you, do you know el profesor de física? So again, I'm asking if you know a person. Noten aquí el uso de a personal. We're using the a personal otra vez, but we have to form that contraction al porque es a el profesor de física. So we form that contraction al there. So if you have any questions about this topic, feel free to message me, and I'm happy to help you. We could set up a quick Zoom discussion about it, or come to the class and ask questions when we do our virtual class on this topic. Adios.